Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Abby and I like to talk about spooky things. I'm officially 25. My birthday was this past Wednesday, hence no Thursday upload. Also some weird health things going on, hence no uploads before that. But after a bajillion doctor's appointments, 15 vials of blood, a rheumatologist appointment, I think we're on the right track. We have a few hunches and I have an MRI on Friday, which I'm not looking forward to. I'm not looking forward to taking out all my piercings and switching them out for plastic stuff, that's for sure. But, you know, anything to get answers, I suppose. So, 25 is the year where I figure out my health issues after years of trying and life goes back to perfection. I mean, life's pretty good, aside from the health issues, but once the health issues are fixed, you're gonna see a lot of me. Like, you'll be sick of me. So, hopefully, by Easter, I'll know what's wrong with me, and we'll have maybe a treatment plan within a week or so after that, so woohoo! A lot going on these past few weeks. But today, I'm going to be showing you 31 terrifying TikToks. Sorry, I'm also extra stuffed up today. You guys would not believe how frequently I have to cut out sniffles in my videos. I've had what I've assumed to be allergies that just randomly started 3 years ago. Now I'm thinking they're probably associated with whatever I have going on here. But you would not believe how many times I'm cutting out sniffles when I'm editing my videos, because it sounds like I do coke or something because I'm sniffing constantly. But no, there's something wrong with my sinuses on top of everything else I got going on. Like that. So, sorry, I'm extra weird today. The show must go on. If you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, click the subscribe button down below, and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I post Sundays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. Without further ado, let's get right on into the video. Our first TikTok's by the user, shoopdoesstuff.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
I had the same dream at least once a week for 4 years. To understand the dream, you have to understand the layout of the house and a little bit of what I was going through at the time. Before we moved into this house, I had been living with my grandparents for the last year because my mom had been deployed to Iraq. I have always been bounced back and forth between my grandparents and my mom. My grandparents begged my mom for a long time, just let her live with us, because my mom was a single mom. She wasn't a very good mom, in my opinion. Our relationship has always been very strained. My mom was deployed when I was in 8th grade, so I was in middle school. My grandma got me and we sat down and had a very long talk. Because you can even see in pictures that for a middle schooler to look as if she does not want to be alive, to look this depressed and sad, it was scary, and it scared my grandma. And she sat down with me and said, you know what, we're going to take this year and we're going to work really hard on your self-esteem, on your self-worth. You're going to be a happier person. You deserve to be a happy person. My mom got back from her deployment and I was a total 180, a totally different kid. I was actually smiling. I had friends. I was doing sports. I was doing band. I was actually thriving. My mom got back from her deployment. She married my stepdad. They bought a house and she came to get me from my grandparents. My mom and my stepdad sat with my grandma and my papa and me and looked at my grandma and said, you ruined my daughter. And then my mom looked at me and said, I can't wait until you turn 18 so I can kick you out of the house and move on with my real family. My grandma begged my mom, why don't you just let Jessica live with us? You obviously don't want her. You never have. Let her live with us. Wasn't gonna happen. Don't know why. Anyways, I end up moving in with my mom and my stepdad at this new house. It's a 2-story house. Mine and my stepsister's rooms are in the bottom part, which there's my room, her room, and then a living room and a bathroom. I think it's important that you know where the rooms are. So my room, the closet, was right underneath the stairs, so I could hear anybody walking up and down the stairs. My stepsister's room faced out towards the living room and the side of the bathroom. My reoccurring dream I did not tell anyone about. One, because the household that I was living in, I knew I was not really wanted. I was just kind of there. And it wasn't really a nightmare. It didn't really scare me. It was honestly kind of comforting, but it wasn't really that eventful to where I felt the need to share this dream with anyone else. What would happen in my dream is a very tall, skinny, sickly looking man would come from upstairs down to the downstairs area. Like I said, my room, the closet, was right underneath the stairs, so I could hear people going up and down. And in my dream, it was like clockwork. I'd hear the footsteps and I knew oh, he's coming downstairs. So I would come and stand in the doorway of my room and watch this man walk downstairs over to the bathroom. He'd turn the lights on and off a few times. He would turn out of and stand in the doorway of the bathroom and look at me. And then he would walk out the backyard and just kind of disappear. There were no words exchanged. Like I said, this man looked very sickly. I remember him being very tall and wearing a long trench coat, and like I remember his fingers like vividly because the coat like hung off of him and it hit him like right about here on the fingers, and his fingers looked really skinny and bony and just scary, but I wasn't scared. I've always been very active in my sleep. My mom used to not let me sleep with her after I had a nightmare when I was a kid because she said that I would kick and punch and scream. I still talk in my sleep, and it seems like when I'm really, really stressed out and going through a lot of stuff, that's when I start sleepwalking. My stepsister said that a few times because she would sleep with her door open sometimes, and she said that I would get up in the middle of the night, go over to the bathroom, turn the lights on and off a few times, turn around and look at my bedroom door, and then just go back into bed and shut the door. And like, I didn't remember any of this. She would tell me this and she wasn't freaked out, but she was just like, that's kind of weird. Like, why do you sleepwalk and like play with light switches? I found it weird, but I didn't really think too much about it. I just chalked it up to coincidence, especially because like when I would live with my grandparents, they were very conservative Christian people. So we didn't really, the paranormal was not something that was discussed or given really any energy to. It wasn't until two of my friends, two people separate from each other. I was friends with one girl when I was a sophomore in high school and she was a senior, and the other girl I was friends with when I was a senior and she was a sophomore. These two girls never met each other, but they described my dream to me in its entirety. Both of them had told me that they were like sensitive to spiritual things. They didn't really talk about it a whole lot though. Like they never like owned like Ouija boards or like tried to communicate with spirits. They had just said like, yeah, I've seen some stuff, and just kind of left it at that. But both of them had spent the night at my house, and both of them described the exact route that the man walked through in the basement. Both of them said that they weren't threatened or scared either. They were a little like creeped out, but they weren't threatened. And one of them, the first girl that saw it, she said, I think he's here to watch after you. My boyfriend still to this day likes to make the joke that something is attached to me, is following me, and I don't totally discount it. I've never personally seen anything, and I have not had that dream ever since I turned 18 and moved away from my mom and that house. But things do still kind of happen. Like pictures will come off the wall, and it's weird because I used like the wall hooks, so they can't just like come off. You'd have to pick them up, and they have to come up and out. And that kind of, I can find reasons why that might happen, like rational reasons, but the one thing that I can't explain away that I still get every once in a while is breathing. I hear breathing every once in a while I'm sleeping in my bedroom, no matter what. This has happened at a few different bedrooms, but my cat hears it. My cat Lily, she always sleeps on my chest or on my side, and I'll hear it's the same thing. It's like a sigh, and I always look at my cat and like her ears go back. She doesn't like try and attack anything, but she looks in the exact same spot that I hear the breathing. Again, I don't ever feel scared. I don't ever feel threatened. It is kind of almost like a comforting thing. I don't really talk to it. I've never seen anything. I have not had any like weird recurring dreams ever since my time in high school, but yeah, that's my story.
Maybe it's just me, but I kind of feel like maybe this man somehow was a protector spirit. I could be totally off and I could be misinterpreting this completely, but part of me wants to think that maybe there were some spirits around her that were trying to protect her while she was in this weird situation as a child / teenager. Whether or not this is the case here, I feel like that happens probably more often than we think, because I think most people don't realize it or aren't aware that there's like spirits around us. But I mean, I believe that like my loved ones are around me at all times. And even if it's not loved ones, I feel like you never know, you might come across a friendly spirit who is like seeing your situation and wants to protect you. It's just some random friendly spirit who takes a liking and is always there by your side, and you may never realize that they're there. I wonder if that's going on here. Maybe it's something completely different and I'm totally off here. Let me know what you guys think, but I kind of wonder like maybe she had some sort of spiritual guidance, someone looking over her because she wasn't in the best situation. Our next TikTok spell user, Soft Taco.
I was around 6 or 7 years old. My cousin Kyriana and I used to play hide and seek at my grandmother's house. And honestly, I feel like it was more than just hide and seek. Like, you know how kids would normally have like a, go outside and play hide and seek, stop playing in the house. Well, we had free range of outside and inside my grandma's house. Well, hide and seek for us was a huge adventure. I really liked to play in the basement, which was basically its own little world in itself. Had old boxes of Cabbage Patch dolls, Atari with Pac-Man, had a little dusty VCR with some movies, and it was also the laundry room / my grandpa's workspace / the garage. All the way on the other side was the garage. Very multifunctional basement. One day we were doing what we do and we decided to play hide and seek. And I decided to go hide in the closet downstairs in the basement. Crept inside and I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited, and it felt like 15 or so minutes, but honestly it was like running on kids' time, so it could have been less than that, but to me it felt like 15 whole minutes of waiting in that closet. So honestly I figured that Kai gave up on me or forgot about me because she had forgotten about me in the past before playing hide and seek. Just because it happened before though doesn't mean I wasn't pissed off. I was pissed off. I was about to swing that door open so angrily and storm upstairs and go give her a piece of my mind, but the door wouldn't open. Kept turning the handle, but nothing would happen. The handle was turning, but literally nothing would happen. To me, my first thought was that somebody was on the outside of the door holding the door or like pushing it with their body weight so that I couldn't open it. There was no shadow under the door. There was no giggling. There was no like indication that a person was there at all, other than the fact that the door would not open. That's when I started to panic. And that's also when I noticed how dark the closet really was. I remember my heart racing so bad that like I thought that I was going to have a heart attack at the ripe little age of 8 years old. Started slamming my hands against the door as loud as I could, screaming for Kai. Like, I was screaming so loud that my voice was becoming hoarse, and I'm surprised that my grandma didn't hear me, but honestly, I think she was playing Farmville on her computer. I don't blame her. As I was screaming and slamming my fists against the door, I heard something from behind me, and it was like a breath. It wasn't just like it was like a breathy sentence from something or someone from behind me. I heard a voice right behind me say, "Try it now." When I tell you that I lost my mind in there. Screamed so loud that I could barely breathe. I tried the handle again, and just as if nothing had ever been wrong with it, it opened. I tumbled out of the closet. I landed on my butt. And if you think about any kind of like scary movie ever, and like the person is following you and you fall down and you're scrambling, it was like that. So anyways, I pulled myself together and raced upstairs as fast as I could. Ariana was sitting on the couch eating a popsicle, not even fazed. Yeah. I'm crying though. I'm hyperventilating. Full-blown rage, panic, confusion. I started screaming at her about how she locked me downstairs. The voice that I heard in the closet. But her and my grandmother did not believe me. Honestly, just thought that the door got stuck and that I let myself out and everything was fine. I don't know. Honestly, it makes me think of my grandfather because at that point my grandfather had passed away, and like maybe it was him helping me out of the closet. I don't know. I like to think of it as that way because I don't want to think of it as like some demon scary ghost in the basement of my grandma's house. I want to think of it as something nice because that's not the only experience that I had at my grandma's house. And if you want to hear more things that have happened to me at my grandma's house, please let me know because there's a lot. She had a haunted doll that I now have possession of, and things have been happening in my house, by the way. Anyways, I don't know. That voice may or may not have been that of my grandfather's deceased spirit. I don't know. But it sure as hell scared the crap out of me. You can best believe I never hid in that closet ever again.
For some reason as a kid, it was always really scary hiding in closets. I don't know what it was. I'd have to have like my back to the back of the closet because I was always convinced someone or something was behind me in there. And I played hide and seek a lot with my cousins and my brother. So I was hiding in quite a few closets and it always felt weird. I don't know if it's because the whole like monsters in the closet thing when you're trying to go to bed at night and that travels over to hide and seek time, but it always felt like there was something in there with me when it was pitch black and I'm like trying to hide. It's definitely an incredibly freaky situation. It's like my childhood hide and seek nightmares come true in this story right here. Our next TikTok's by the user, thatoneghostpodcast.
So this is just another quick little ghost story. So this is not something that happened in my dad or my mom's house that they grew up in. This is actually something that happened to my dad. So he shared this story with me multiple times because I always asked him to retell the story. So he decided to take a long drive, get out of the area, and go visit some of his other family. So this happened when he was in his early 20s, before he and my mom got married, and before I was here. So he got tired while he was driving and saw this hotel on the side of the highway. So this was probably in the early 80s, I think is what he told me. He hasn't told me the story in a while, but the details are very clear. So he is staying in this motel, side of the highway, because he was too tired to drive, which I always recommend. Do the safe thing if you're too tired, like stop driving wherever it's safe. So he checked in. It was nighttime. He goes into the room and he just turns off all the lights, gets into the bed, goes to sleep. And he is woken up because the blankets are off of him and he's cold. So he pulls them back up, rolls over, goes back to sleep. And he feels them starting to be pulled down again. So he's kind of freaking out, trying not to panic, pulls them back up, and tries to go back to sleep, but obviously is having a harder time. So the comforter, the blankets, start getting slowly pulled down again. So he shoots up out of bed, turns on all the lights. He checks the closet, the bathroom, the shower, under the bed, everywhere that anybody could be. Because he's like, there's somebody here. I can't be alone. And sure enough, there is nobody in that room. It's just him. So he turns the lights back off. He lays down in the bed on his back and tries to go back to sleep. But obviously, trying to go back to sleep, but also being hyper alert. So this time, he is holding the blankets up. And he feels them starting to be tugged. So he grips them tighter. And he feels something tugging again. So he grips tighter, and then he feels a pain in his hand between his thumb and his forefinger. So he lets go. And the blankets get ripped down. He gets up, goes, grabs his keys, his wallet. He's out the door, checks out of the hotel, and is like, I don't know what's going on here, but something is wrong with that room. Give him the keys. He's clearly wide awake at this point. Gets in the car, finishes his drive. Now, he has no recollection of what the name of the hotel motel was, unfortunately, because I would definitely want to know if anybody who sees this video has heard of it or stayed there, or if it's something that has come out that, over the years has reports of paranormal activity. But I was always fascinated by that story. And a part of me is kind of like, my dad's a badass. Like, he gripped those blankets and was like, not today, until something happened. He was like, okay, I guess today. Like, bye. So that was just a quick little story for today, just to give you guys a little bit more paranormal stuff going into the weekend. So I hope that everybody had a great week. I hope that you guys all have a fantastic weekend. And I will be back with more stories of the paranormal soon. And not just stories that family members or friends have told me, but stories from other places around the country, around the world, in the quick 60-second ghost stories that I kind of started to do and actually really enjoy doing. So I will see you guys soon. Bye.
I don't know, I'd like to think that I'd be ballsy enough to, fight against something trying to pull the sheets down. I mean, I am pretty darn stubborn, so I feel like I'd be so irritated, I just want to sleep, that I'd be there, fighting it and trying to pull the covers back. But I'd also be terrified at the same time, because what on earth is pulling the covers down? I do not blame that man for, after that whole incident, just, getting out of there. Especially if it's kind of a more secluded motel kind of a situation. I don't know, who knows what kind of spirits roam around in secluded areas, and there could have been weird things that happened in the motel to leave maybe a not so nice, a negative entity there. I don't know. I don't like anything that messes with my sleep. So I feel like I could see myself being a little stubborn like that, but ultimately I'd probably book it out of there too. Our next TikTok is for the user, Frankie.
I love everyone sharing their ghost stories, but I'm also watching all these videos in like the middle of the night, so that's on me though. But I do have one. I'm hearing weird sounds just all the time. I'll get into that. Anyways, I have a story. I want to preface this by saying this was a long time ago. I was a child, so take that with a grain of salt, but to this day I can't explain what happened. I don't know what happened. Could be BS, but kind of seemed like a ghost thing, all things considered. But I was around 11 or 12 years old. I went to a Catholic grade school. My family and I were semi-religious. We, went to church on Sundays. But I don't know, my family and I also embraced other ways of thinking. We embraced spirituality, embraced the paranormal activity out there, the idea of ghosts, spirits, etc. So that's kind of how I was brought up. And I went to a sleepover and my friend had a Ouija board. I didn't know what it was at the time. When I did find out, thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was fascinated by it. So I asked my mom for a Ouija board for my birthday. And like the wild thing is, I don't know if they do this anymore, but like at that time they were selling Ouija boards at Toys R Us. So my mom was kind of like, yeah, sure, why not? So I'll say this now, and I think this is public knowledge. Don't fuck with Ouija boards. Don't go near them. You're asking for trouble. Just don't do it. I have so many other Ouija board stories besides the one I'm about to share, but I'll just share the one. But like I've heard so many things that just happen. It's crazy. Anyway, so I got my Ouija board for my birthday. I had my girlfriends over and we wanted to play with the Ouija board. So we were asking it like cute, innocent questions. Like, does so-and-so like me? Or am I gonna get married? And we're having a blast. And it was time to go to bed, so we asked who we were talking to. We were curious, like, oh, I wonder what kind of spirit this is. We want to know more about them. Like, totally thinking everything was just fine and dandy. Like, we're just having a seance, it's fine. And we asked the Ouija board who we were talking to, and the Ouija board spelled out the devil. So, of course, we all freaked out, screamed, put it in the box, put it in the closet, and tried to forget about it and try to sleep. It was like the middle of the night. No, like my parents weren't up, so we just like went to bed. Where we put the Ouija board was in the basement closet, and the basement closet was next to the furnace. So the next morning, I don't remember what time, I think it was early, the furnace, it wasn't on fire, but it was smoking. Like, it was smoking so bad that our alarms were going off and the fire department came. They took care of it. I don't think they could tell us what happened or what the cause was, but it could have been bad. So they got there in time. The house was not damaged. Everything was fine. So after this incident, once everyone had left, we kind of regrouped and as a family, and we were like, okay, that wasn't great. Let's get rid of this. So we put it in the dumpster outside, and we never had any issues since. And by issues, I mean outwardly bad things. There's some weird things that have happened for sure. I live on my own now, but at my parents' house, like, there's definitely weird energy. There's weird sounds at night. I've experienced some of that too, just here at my own place, which leads me to my question. A lot of the comments I've been seeing about people who have come into contact with potentially malicious spirits have asked these people, like, what have you done to get rid of the spirit, basically? Like, have you saged your house? Have you used holy water? What measures have you taken to dismiss the spirit? Because I guess if you don't do that, they can latch onto you and follow you around, potentially. But we didn't do any of that. We kind of just left it alone and never talked about it again. Except for, like, today. I like call my mom today because like this whole thing is trending about ghost stories, and I was like, Mom, do you remember when this happened? So yeah, like nothing bad happened like since then anyways, but yeah, so like my question is, did I open a door that I didn't close? Should I address this? Because so far so good. I'm 29, I'm healthy, haven't had any outwardly bad things happen in terms of ghost things, but what would you advise I do? Because I still don't feel good about it to this day, and I kind of had this realization watching all these videos recently that I should maybe revisit this and get some advice. So yeah, that was long. I am interested to hear feedback. I'm definitely about to go down a rabbit hole of more ghost videos. So yeah, thanks for listening.
So don't play with Ouija boards, 1. 2, absolutely it was a ghost. It was the Ouija board. I don't think it was a coincidence. I mean, thank God they caught it when they did and it didn't turn into a full-blown fire. But there is not a single doubt in my mind that the smoke was absolutely from a Ouija board. It was absolutely caused by whatever entities they came in contact with. And yeah, don't mess with Ouija boards. Our next 2 TikToks are by the user misscassxoxo.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
Okay, so if you know me in real life, you've heard this one before. I've actually tried to tell it on here and then got spooked and quit. So I'm going to just super condense it. I guess if you all want more details, you can ask. And if you're interested, I'll tell you more. But like the basic rundown of the entire situation, and yes, I'm talking fast for time reasons, is that I had a best friend whose mother used to work at this place. It was a convalescence home. The last 10 years or so that it was open, it closed in 2008. It's about 30 minutes from my house. But before that, way back in the day, it was a children's polio hospital. And she said that when she worked at the convalescence home, that there was certain parts of the building that were just off limits to everybody. Like even pizza delivery guys and shit could not go down that side of the building. And she had all these crazy stories of like weird shit that happened to her when she worked there, right? And she was not the only person that I'd ever heard talk about this. But at that time, I didn't have a spiritual bone in my body, didn't know anything about the shit, and was like literally couldn't believe in it if I didn't see it, right? So I go in there totally sarcastic and made this really insensitive comment before we even got there. Like we were on the road leading there, probably 500 yards from the place, and I made this really insensitive comment that I ended up regretting deeply. But anyway, so we go in, nothing happens, and we are videoing the whole time that we're in there, both of us, and it was just me and her the first time. And you know when you feel something like run up behind you, like when somebody's behind you and they're just come like pummeling towards you, like as we were getting ready to climb back out the window that we had to go through to get in, and the statute of limitations is run. This was like 2013, so I don't care. Yes, we broke in. In the video, when I felt that shit running up behind me, it was like this big gray whitish orb. And then in the video, when it shoulder checks me, which is what it felt like, it just crashes straight into my shoulder on the left side, and all these orbs, like thousands, hundreds of thousands of like little green orbs are what it split up into, and then they just went straight over my head, right? So after that, we were like, oh fuck yeah, we're going back. Well, we did some research this time before we went back, and also she and I both are now several years off of DRUGS, but at the time we were just both like hot mess train wrecks, right? So I fought through being like dope sick the second time for a couple days because I wanted to make sure that like whatever happens is like not psychosis or like DRUG induced psychosis, and I wanted to make sure that like I was in the right state of mind, because that shit really kind of creeped me out when I saw myself in the video with the orbs over my head, right? And so the second time we go back, we took 2 other people, her little sister and her little sister's buddy, who I'd never met, never seen since. And before we even go in, weird shit's happening, right? Like we're around back getting ready to go in the window, and we see all these people like shadow people in the windows. There was a tree out back. It sounded like there was a noose swinging from it. And there was no wind, not a bit of wind at all. And the tree branches were blowing back. We could hear all this creepy music, and this is just from outside, right? It looked like there was a couple dancing in one of the windows, and we were like, holy shit. And then we all started like freezing, like the temperature just dropped. And this was probably like springtime. It was not, yeah, it definitely was springtime. It was not that cold out. And again, no wind. But this place had an old iron lung. And that really, like, I'm into shit like that. I'm, like, morbid like that. And that was like specifically what I wanted to see, but it was in the basement, and her mother had told us, do not go in that fucking basement no matter what you do. Well, that's the first place we went this time, and we all have our phones out, and we're recording every second of this. We made sure our batteries were charged. Like, again, we did some research, we brought some shit with us, and the first place we went was down to that iron lung. Well, I'm trying to crawl in the motherfucker, and out comes this black cat. This black cat followed us the entire duration of the time we were there. Now, keep that black cat in mind for later. So we go through, and all kinds of weird shit happened. We even got to a point upstairs in that part of the same part of the building. We found out later that her mom said nobody was allowed down. Everybody else started walking down that corridor except for me, because the smell of like sulfur just like overtook my soul. Like, I literally went as far as I could until I literally threw up, like right in the middle of the hallway. Like, it was so strong and it smelled so bad. And I was like, guys, like, how are you? And nobody else smelled it. We went into a room that had a Bible that was open to a certain 3-digit page and had some weird shit written in it. And then I thought that it was just like, oh, local Satanists, because the county or the city, I think the city it's in, actually owned the building at the time, and they used it for like evidence and shit like that, which we did take an old bong from the police evidence room. Again, statute of limitations is ran. I don't give a fuck. It was from like the 70s. It was dope as fuck. It was a moon. And then we also took I took a video, like a VHS tape of what was, I put it in a player, and it turned out to be a shooting at a local gas station. It was the security tape from like 20 years prior. So we did take stuff the first time. But anyways, back to the Bible. It had all these Bibles scattered all over the place, but the one was open to the 3-digit page, and it was up on like a pedestal. And as soon as we saw that shit, the dude that we were with, the little sister's friend, he just has a seizure. And I'm like, great, now we're gonna have to carry this fucking asshole out of here. You know what I mean? Like, not realizing what, I didn't think anything about it. So I just kind of thought, since other people broke into the place, because it was a mess. Like, the place was dilapidated AF. Like, there was spray paint everywhere, and it was all in like pentagrams and shit like that. So I really just thought that was somebody doing that. But I come to find out much later after the fact, there's a local museum that has that Bible, and long story short, they've done a lot of shit, and nobody can really claim for why it was in the condition it was in, because it had some shit. I don't know. Anyway, so weird shit's happening. At one point, before we go down that egg smell corridor, we're sitting on these steps that go up to this room, which is like an attic. We just peeked in the room. Like, we didn't really like discover it or anything like that, but we did hear like footsteps, like somebody, like people dancing, and it was a lot of people. Like, we heard this old-timey ass music that was like somebody was playing like a player piano, and we heard a shitload of people like dancing. It sounded like there was like a rager being thrown upstairs, and we're just sitting at the bottom of the stairs. And then we would hear like footsteps coming down the hall and shit. And I spent a lot of time in one particular room with my phone recording the entire time, right? Well, fast forward, when we leave, I start watching these videos as we're going down the road. Every single time that I go to watch these videos, they're changing. I am in the video. Hollywood couldn't have made a better horror story from what I saw. I was in the video holding my own phone that I had in my hand watching the video, and all of a sudden, like, it tilt shifted again. It looks like a tree sprouts up out of the wall, and it looks like it's dangling me by my feet upside down. And then that goddamn cat turned into like a hell dog, which I didn't know demon dogs were a thing at the time, with these red ass eyes, and it would just like laser its eyes straight on me. And then at the end of every video was that clip of me saying that insensitive comment that I made 500 yards from the place. Made that insensitive comment. Nobody had their camera out, or nobody had a phone out. It was not recorded. But there I was. It was like the camera was on me and saying that insensitive comment. Basically was like only the beginning of it. When I got home, the shit got so much worse. And if you guys want a part 2, I'll give you one. But yeah, that's part 1 of like what happened there.
Okay, so part 2. So we go back to my friend's house, and because of the fact that like so much undeniable shit had happened while we were in there, I mean, there was stuff that I've long since forgotten to mention that I didn't even mention in the first video. Like, wild shit happened, right? I am the one who doesn't believe in any of this, and I am the one who seems the most interested in it, which was strange to me, because it's like, you fucking went looking for this. I'm giving you what you went looking for, and you're not interested? I'm going to assume in hindsight that she was just like super scared to even deal with it, because my friend was like worried about any and everything in the world but what was going on. And she's the one who wanted to go seek this out, not me. Anyway, she was wanting to go hook up with some dude. How you can have that on your mind when this is going on is beyond me. Again, I think it just scared the fucking sense out of her. I don't know. But I'm still at her house, and I get on the computer to, like, upload these videos because I want to put them on Facebook. Like, look what I got. Well, her mother starts watching. In one of them, there was this, like, guy. He was, like, a Pacific Islander, and he was wearing relatively modern clothes, which is what confused me. He had on these, like, camo shorts, and he looked like he was mangled. He had on a white T-shirt. He looked like he'd been in a car accident. There was BLOOD all over his white T-shirt, and one of his arms was not there, or partially there. Yeah, and he was pressed into the wall, and his neck was at least 12 feet long, and then he had a face. It was hella fucking scary, and in all these videos, there's that fucking cat that turns into this hell dog with the eyes. So her mom's like, what you got there is an apparition. Like, no shit, thank you. And my friend's just not at all even acknowledging that this is going on. And I'm up all night because when you have something that fucking terrifying, like right here, like here's proof of this, you know, you're naturally like geeked up. Like if you would have seen me at the time, you would have thought I was on Beth with an M. I was not. I was stone sober. And I got online and tried to upload these videos from my phone to Facebook. I took a screenshot. Well, the videos wouldn't upload at all. Even to the computer, like, it would let me play them, but it wouldn't download them. But anyway, I took a screenshot from the one with the tree dangling me upside down. I posted it on Facebook, and there was 2 people who commented. The first one was like, holy fucking shit. The second one was like, oh my God, when you go back, I'm going with you. And then the third person that commented was like, I don't see anything. And I went and looked, and the little square where the picture once was now black. So it was able to like manipulate the technology. And please don't start hollering, post the videos, because this was 2013. That phone crashed out entirely. I do not fucking. However, I do have physical evidence inside my house of it being in there. But that's way later in the story, so you're just gonna have to fucking wait. So don't start hollering, post the videos, because why the fuck would I do that if it won't let me take a screenshot of it, even if I still had them? Why the fuck would it let me post it? Duh. So there's that. So my friend goes, and she's just like gallivanting around with this dude, not worried about it at all. And I sit there wide awake with my eyes like popping out of my head all night long because I'm like, I cannot believe this. And of course, at some point, I'd asked her to send me the videos from her phone because she had some weird videos too of just like actual shit that we caught inside of there. She wouldn't do it. I don't know if like this thing attached to me because I was so like nonchalant and disrespectful, or if it launched me because I was like the most grounded out of everyone, which is crazy, but I was. We were all a mess. God love her, but she was a train wreck. I was the most sane person out of all of these people. So I don't know why this stuck to me. I don't know why she refused to acknowledge it, but she pissed me the fuck off is what she did. So I had gotten dropped off. I didn't drive there. I gotten dropped off there. So I called my grandma and was like, can y'all come get me? And my grandpa and my son, who was 4 at the time, he was turning 5 the next month, we're on the way back, and I start hearing the faint sound of this dog barking. And while I'm sitting there trying to convince myself that I'm just crazy, that this is not real, and that I'm going to fuck around and manifest this on accident, my son goes, doggy, or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, we were in the car. There was no fucking dog to be seen. But it was just like this fake, because, you know, they say kids can sense shit like that. And that was my number one fear as soon as I sat down on her couch and felt something kicking me in the side. I was like, my kid. So that scared me to death. And I just stuck my finger in my mouth and bit my fucking thumbnail straight down to the middle of my finger, like in one chomp. I was like, oh my God. If you would have seen me, I'd have been white as a fucking sheet. So there was this cherry blossom tree in the front yard that we planted when I was like 4 or 5 years old. And this year it only bloomed for like a week, maybe a week and a half, but it was fucking beautiful. And it was just like this center of like light and like brightness at the house. And when I got home, it was like 1:30. I sat underneath that tree until the sun went down at about 8:30 that night, scared to death to go in the house because my grandmother specifically, I was sitting there thinking, how in the fuck am I going to go in there and act normal, knowing that I have this possible issue? Because I didn't know for sure that it had followed me from her house. I just tried to blame it on her, saying it stuck to her, but I internally knew it was me. But nothing had, other than the dog barking in the car, nothing had really happened yet. But I was so paranoid it would, that I was like, how am I going to explain this to my grandmother, who is essentially a Southern Baptist cultist? I mean, I hate to say it like that, but it's like brimstone and hellfire cult type shit. The way that she fervently and just crazy, like, very much into it. And I was like, I cannot possibly go in there and be like, hey, Mom, I brought a demon home, because she's going to shit a motherfucking brick. Well, I knew she would have me committed, too. That was the big one. So I sat under this tree all day doing research, which was a huge mistake in hindsight. Shouldn't have done that, because that put all kinds of weird shit in my head. And then finally, when it became dark outside, I went in the house and I sat there on the couch after everybody was asleep, and I sat there, hardly even blinked, for 8 hours with my eyes glued to the fucking corner of the room, where I started seeing what looked like a pile of natural gas coming up out of the carpet. And at first it looked like that dog in the shade. Like, it wasn't like, it was 3D, but it wasn't super clear what it was. At first it looked like a certain family member of mine that I was very close to, who died when I was 4 or 5. It looked like him, and it looked like he had his head in his hand, and it looked like he was either crying or hysterically laughing, and then it morphed into that dog. And I sat there watching that shit. It was like a mirage in the road. When it's like a heat mirage, like you can see the shit that looks like natural gas in the road, but it's like, I don't know. It was like that. And then behind me on the wall, there was this shadow of Antonio Banderas, because he looked like him in Once Upon a Time in Mexico, where he had that hat on and shit. I was like, okay, Antonio Banderas, cute story. So I sat there until daylight, and then I finally went to bed, because during the daytime, this thing was not that active.
Our next TikTok is by the user Brian SM91.
Okay, you all asked for it, so here we go. My name's Sydney. I worked as an ER nurse for about 10 years, and I have seen some crazy stuff, but this one in particular still keeps me up at night. Because I don't want to violate any HIPAA laws, I am not going to be naming any patients in this story, and I cannot give you the exact location, but I can tell you it happened in the Appalachian Mountains. So we got a call from EMS, and the original call was for an elderly lady with altered mental status, but then a call came in right after that, and it was for her son that had a severe arm injury. So that's a pretty normal call to get for like an older person not acting right. They can have UTIs, they could, sometimes dementia, things like that can make them act different. But the fact that she was coming in with her son, and her son had a severe arm injury, we were all like, what's going on? So she came in first. They brought her in on the stretcher, and she was in handcuffs. This like 80-something tiny little woman in handcuffs. So of course we were like, get her out of these handcuffs. Like, she's gonna rip her skin. Like, what is going on? And baby, as soon as those handcuffs came off, I understood why they put them on her. This frail 80-year-old woman had the strength of like a grown 40-year-old man. It took multiple nurses, multiple security officers, and paramedics to just hold her down on the stretcher. She was also contorting her body in ways that I never thought possible. Just like her spine, like coming up off the stretcher, her legs up by her head. Like, it was weird. She was thrashing all over the bed, biting, spitting, kicking. The scariest part is her voice was not like a normal, like 80-year-old woman voice. It was this deep, guttural, like voice. At one point she looks over at me and she goes, "Get this brute out of me." And as we're dealing with this, her son comes in behind her, and his arm has a massive chunk bitten out of it. And I'm not trying to get too gory on you guys, but like, I'm talking tendons, ligaments hanging out of his arm. So we got more information from the son, and he was like, yeah, that's my mom. She lives with me, but this is not my mom. Like, she is normally a sweet little lady, and then she just came in my room in the middle of the night, bit down on my arm, and ripped a huge chunk out of it and just continued to attack me. And he's like, I had no other option but to call the police. So we start doing all the things to get this lady to calm down so she wouldn't hurt us or hurt herself. I'm talking sedatives, IV injections, all the things. Nothing is touching her. We gave her enough medicine to put down like a horse, and nothing touched it. We also ran all the tests that would cause her to act this way. Like, we did a urine screen, we did like blood work, all the things. Everything came back completely normal. At one point, one of the nurses said, "We need some holy water." As soon as holy water was mentioned, this lady, like I told you, she was thrashing all over the place, stopped thrashing and just looks up and goes, "Don't you dare." All of us nurses just kind of looked at each other like, well, that was weird. We ended up admitting her to a room upstairs. I obviously did not see this because I stayed down in the ER, but it was later told that nothing they did helped her. She just continued to act completely insane until the son was like, I want an exorcism done on her. They had to call in a priest to the hospital to do the exorcism, and shortly after that, she went home. So, believe what you want, but the fact that this lady's tests results all came back clear and the only thing that ended up helping her was an exorcism. I mean, I know what I believe, and that's why I'm right with the Lord. But it's still just one of the wildest things that ever happened to me as a nurse. So now I'm interested, has anyone else ever had an encounter like this? If you have, leave it in the comments. And also, if you want more stories about some of the crazy things that I've seen as an ER nurse, I was also a psychiatric nurse for 3 years, then let me know.
It's actually really interesting. I don't know what it was on. I can't remember. I don't know if it was like a CNN thing or what it was. There was like a mini... It wasn't a documentary. It was like a regular TV show episode of kind of like just a docu-show about exorcisms. And they say that there's a lot of like, there's like levels to exorcisms, and there's like the ones that like go full blown to like the Vatican and like are fully credited exorcisms. But there's also like a lot of people that believe that they're having exorcisms, or that they're in a demon, or there's a demon in them. And then there's like non-professionals who are like exorcising them and expelling the demons. And the whole thing feels a little yucky. Like there's some people that use the fear of having a demon in you to like get these people to pay them to like see their services and like exercise them and make them better. And it's kind of like, I feel like some people kind of take advantage of that, and it's kind of like a mental thing, and they take advantage of people like who may be like sick or mentally ill or something and claim they have a demon in them. It was a whole thing, and it was very fascinating. But I feel like this is one of those instances where someone is having some kind of episode and something could be in them. I mean, there's a very fine line between, there's obviously like the very serious things like The Conjuring. I mean, multiple of the Conjuring movies based on legitimate exorcisms. Those are real, and the Catholic Church was involved. And then there's one, again, that I feel like there's a little like sketchy people that kind of prey on people's fears and, you know, maybe say that they have a demon in them because they're making money off these people who feel that this guy or woman or whatever is saving them from the demons, and it's just, you know, again, some guy taking advantage of people who are desperate. So there's like a level to all this, and I feel like, I don't know if this probably wasn't actually documented as a for real exorcism, but because she was behaving so erratically and it was so absurd, and there seemed to be nothing like really medically wrong with her, but as soon as a priest was brought in and then this whole thing was performed that she was okay again, like back to herself, I really believe that there was something going on here. Like it definitely falls into like the higher range, like definitely like legit, but obviously this one doesn't seem like it was necessarily approved and brought on by the Catholic Church, but I definitely feel like it's something that I believe is accurate and not just someone being convinced they had a demon in them because some guy's trying to prey on them and convince them that that's the case. I think there was really something going on with this woman, and that's an insane thing to witness as a nurse. Our next TikToks with user, Pretty Co Row.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
Okay, so look, it was this one time, right, when this was back when I used to work in the gentleman's club, as this professionally called. And I remember, like, I hadn't been working at this club too long or whatever, and it was a slow night. I remember I had a couple of drinks, and I wasn't staying at home at the time. I can't remember if like I was moving or transitioning to a new place, but I was staying I had got it wasn't even a hotel, it was a motel room. I was staying in the motel room. I had it for 2 days. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay here till Monday or whatever. So, like I said, it was a normal night. I think I even left early. I went to the motel room. I laid across the bed. I fall asleep. Boom. I was there by 11. So, you know how it is when you fall asleep after drinking. Like, you will wake up in the middle of the night thirsty and stuff. So, I woke up or whatever. I probably woke up at like maybe like 2-3 in the morning. Mind you, it's a couple of days before Halloween. So I wake up, I'm not thinking nothing of it. I see it's still dark out and stuff. The room completely dark out and turned all the lights off. So I roll over, y'all, and tell me why something was in the bed with me. It was something small, black, and furry. Like, the closest thing that I could compare it to, it looked like a mix between a bat and, which I've never seen a bat up close, but this thing, it looked like it had wings, and a spider. It had multiple eyes. It had to have between 6 and 8 eyes, and it was covered in fur. Like, it had real, I didn't touch it, but if I would have to guess, I would assume that the fur was really thick. And it's like, when I rolled over on that side of the bed, the thing rolled over and looked at me, and it opened its eyes. When I tell you, I jumped out the bed so fast, I hit my head on the nightstand, like I had a little gash in my forehead. Blood was rushing down my face. I just run out the room. I jetted. So I run straight to the front desk. And the lady at the front desk like, oh my gosh, there's blood all over your face. Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, yes, I'm okay. But it's something in the room. I'm telling her, like, I think it's a bat, because that's the only thing that I had to compare it to, because I've never seen anything like it. I'm like, I've seen it in the bed. It looked at me, and I jumped out the bed. I hit my head on the nightstand. I'm like, I'm okay. I just need somebody to go back to the room with me and help me find my phone and stuff. I left all my stuff in there, and I want to switch rooms. So she like, okay, we could do that, whatever. So she grabbed like a broom and stuff. Like, she like, you sure you don't want an ambulance? I'm like, no, I'm okay. I just want to switch rooms. So she grabbed like a broom. I follow her to the room or whatever. Mind you, it's like a full moon. It's a really, like, looking back at it, it was a really, like, scary looking Halloween movie type of night. So I follow her back to the room. Y'all, she hit the light switch. She turned on the lights. She don't see nothing. It's nothing in the room. We look under the bed. Ain't nothing under the bed but my phone. So she's like, I don't see nothing. I'm like, I don't see nothing either. I'm like, maybe it flew out the room after I ran out or something. But y'all, I promise y'all it was there. So Halloween was like the next couple of days. I remember going see my family, and that's going to a Halloween party. And I was trying to, everybody thought something, because I had my face was still swollen. I had this cut on my face. Everybody like, what happened? It looked like somebody hit you with a bottle. I'm like, no, nobody hit me with a bottle. Like, I saw something that scared me, and I hit my head on the nightstand. They like, nah, they don't sound right. But I promise you, to this day, I still have the same story. Something was in that bed with me. The lady even told me from the front desk, she like, it's been a lot of weird stuff going on around here for the past couple of days. So she like, I can only imagine. But y'all, I promise you, I've never seen a creature like this. I don't know anything that exists like it. It almost reminded me of like those little Furby dolls, but it had wings and it had multiple eyes. Some of the eyes were bigger, some of the eyes were smaller, and it looked at me and it opened its eyes. It, like, I don't remember it jumping at me. It didn't try to get me or anything. It just scared me so bad. My initial reaction was get the fuck, get up and go. But shit, my feet got tangled in the blanket or something, because I fell and hit my head on that nightstand.
I'd for sure be freaked out if that was in front of my face. Like, if there's some creature, weird bat spider thing, I have no idea what this thing is. I wish she would, like, draw a sketch so we could see more. I'm kind of picturing it, and for some reason I'm picturing, like a version of Gregory here, which a lot of people point out that he's, like, creepy, but, like, I think he's adorable in a creepy way. I feel like I'm picturing, like, his type of, like, fur and maybe kind of his face, but, like, with wings and then extra legs. I'd absolutely freak out if I was there in person. I don't blame her for freaking out and running downstairs. And it seems like there is kind of a history of wacky things going on at this place. Also, I feel like if whatever this creature was sold as a stuffed animal, I would definitely buy it because it sounds exactly like the type of creepy cute thing that I cannot stay away from. Again, hence Gregory back here. This story is so interesting because I literally have never heard of anything like this before. Like a spider bat in a hotel room. Our next TikToks with user, Mia part 2_2.
Hey y'all, come eat with me while I tell you guys a story time. Okay, so we have Fire Wing Nashville chicken tender fries, and then we have hot Nashville chicken tenders and some coleslaw. Okay, so my story time is about how I felt spirits and like how I kind of saw them. So my mom works at a home care facility, and I used to volunteer there for college hours. And patients would die over there, so there was like spirits over there. But let me tell you guys story times. So one time I was volunteering there, and there is like a myth that number 13 is a bad luck number. It was a room number 113, and that was like, that room specifically was the coldest room out of everything. And let me remind you, there are heaters in there. So one time I walked by there, and I just felt goosebumps, like straight up goosebumps. And that same day, my mom decided to do a double shift, so we stayed through night. And at 8 p.m., we served the people their night snacks. So I went in the kitchen, and let me remind you, I'm in the kitchen by myself. I opened the kitchen, and the lights start flicking. I was like, what the heck? Okay, whatever. I went to go get the cart full of snacks. And I felt like goosebumps again, so I was like, what the heck? Let me go get my jacket. But when I went to go get my jacket in the office, there was this black shadow. When I tell you guys, I saw a black shadow just pass by me. I was like, okay, maybe I'm just tripping. I'm seeing stuff. My mom, I'm like, Mom, like, there's just been weird stuff happening today. And she was like, well, there was a patient that died that day in room 113. And I was like, what the heck? So all the workers were like telling me, and they're like family friends to me. They were like, yeah, there's like ghosts sometimes and stuff, and there's like spirits. Like one time my mom was using the bathroom, and there was nobody there besides her, and someone was trying to open the door while she was using the restroom. And let me remind you, all the people are sleeping, and my mom's the only one there right now. Also, my tita used to work there, and she like worked in the office. She was one of their main people, and people would report that they saw her at middle of the night working, and they were like, what the heck? Why is she still here? And they went back to go check on her, and she was not there. She was not there. She was at home sleeping. Let me remind you guys, this is a home care. Like, this is for old people or veterans, right? So one time, one of the workers saw kids running down the hallways. This is not like, there's no kids there. Nobody's there besides the patients. So why were there kids running down the hallways laughing? There were like 4 facilities. They were like all connected together. And then we were the 3rd facility. And then there was another facility next to us. And then behind there was a river. Like a sketchy river, guys. So I think ghosts are real and spirits are real. I don't know why they were coming at me that night, but sorry for what I did. Anyways, thank you guys for listening and watching my mukbang. Bye, y'all.
Our next TikToks with user, kasja.spooky.stor.
I lived in a haunted apartment across the street from a cemetery for like 3 or 4 years of my life. This was probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and I've never told you guys the story before, but it was some of the most terrifying experiences that I've ever experienced in my entire life happened in this apartment. And I actually have photographic evidence that I'm going to show you guys at the end of this video, and the picture that I'm going to show you is one of the most telling paranormal pictures I've ever seen in my life. It actually took me hours of scouring my phone just now to find find this picture. So basically when you guys know that I'm in recovery, and when I very first moved to Long Island, I lived in a sober house. I lived in the sober house for about 8 or 9 months, and then I got my own apartment. When I got my own apartment, nothing was wrong with the apartment, okay? So I'm a very spiritual person, and I can feel when things are in apartments and when there's like negative energies or good energies. I didn't feel anything in that apartment until something happened to my best friend. So when I first moved into the apartment, there was an extra bedroom in the apartment, and so in order to help me pay rent, I rented out that extra room. Well, a girl moved in with me, and she was from the sober house, and she ended up coming in and relapsing, and she moved out. Well, another girl from the sober house who had been sober for like 2 or 3 years, and I was really good friends with, and finds this out, and she contacts me and is like, hey, can I come rent out the room from you? Since she had been sober for so long and I had known her so well, I was like, yeah, you can come live with me. So she comes and lives with me, and to make a long story short, she also ends up relapsing. I guess I didn't learn my lesson the first time, but she ends up relapsing on some really bad schmugs. Like, we're talking like bad. So she was one of my best friends, so I tried to give her like 2 or 3 chances, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I had to kick her out, unfortunately. A week after I kicked her out, I get a phone call from her cousin telling me that she had OD'd and she had passed away. This really sucked for me because the last things that I said to her were something along the lines of, I hate you, I never want to see you again, like, you're disgusting. She said the same, like, she hated me. It was really bad. I had so much guilt over this, and I'm not sure if it was my grief or if it was because she was using in my apartment that brought all of this negative energy in. But after she passed away, everything went to shit. Like, my apartment it felt so different. The first incident that I can remember happening is I was in my room watching TV, and I hear a big boom in the kitchen. And I go in the kitchen, and on the kitchen floor are all of my pots and pans, because I used to like to bake a lot, and they were scattered in the middle of the kitchen floor, and they were on a shelf that was not tilted. There was no way that they could have flown off the shelf, and they were like in the middle of the floor, and the shelf was against the wall, so they would have had to literally fly off of that shelf. So I'm standing in the kitchen at the time like, what the hell? And I just had this eerie feeling, like this bad feeling, as I'm standing in the kitchen staring at these pots and pans, when I hear this. Now, in my room, I had a mirror, and on the mirror, I had a picture of Jesus on the mirror. And after I hear this noise, I'm like, what the hell is that? And I walk into my room, and right where the Jesus picture was on my mirror was cracked, like completely shattered. I actually have a picture of that somewhere too. I'm going to try to find it for you guys. It was only where the Jesus picture was that it was cracked. Well, I knew in my heart that something bad was in that apartment at this point, but I just didn't want to admit it. So I was trying to explain everything away. Well, I end up going to sleep that night, and I have one of the most horrifying sleep paralysis incidents that I have ever had in my life, besides the one that I just recently had where I couldn't breathe. I fall asleep and I wake up and I can't move. And I have normally never been able to see anything in my sleep paralysis incidents, and in this one I could. I woke up, I scanned the room, there's nothing in the room, and suddenly I see something in the corner of the door just like slowly walk in the doorway, very slowly. It stops in front of my doorway, and I'm looking at it, and I realize that it is my unalived friend standing in my doorway. Her mouth is hanging open, like jaw, like shouldn't have been able to, like her jaw almost looked disconnected, and she was screaming, and I couldn't hear her scream, but I could just tell that she was screaming. At this point, I am freaking out because I cannot believe what I am seeing, because she looks exactly like her. Like, it's not like she looked distorted in any way. She looked exactly like her, just like her jaw was disconnected, and it was almost like she was like trying to tell me something. And I'm not sure if this was her or if this was something like worse, but as I'm trying to fight out of this, I keep like trying to close my eyes, and every time I open my eyes, she's a little closer to me and a little closer to me and a little closer to me, until finally she was literally right in my face. And I remember looking at her eyes and like looking into her eyes and being like, holy, that is my friend. Like, that's her. I'm looking at her, and she's not here, and I'm looking at her. And then her jaw just goes, and then I jolt awake. At this point, I'm absolutely terrified. I'm gasping for air, and I can't go to sleep. I cannot believe that just happened. Like, I just saw her. I cannot believe that just happened. What was that? Was that her? Was she trying to communicate with me? Was that something else? Like, this is so bad, and the air just felt so thick and heavy and dark. Like, I can't even explain to you how dark it felt. I was so terrified. Well, a couple nights later, I'm laying in bed, and at this point I couldn't sleep without the TV on, so the TV was on, and I'm laying in bed, and I decide that I'm gonna try to go to sleep. So I go to lay down, and I go to close my eyes, and as soon as I lay down, I feel something sit on the end of my bed, like full blown, my feet, like right next to my feet where the mattress indented all the way down. And I'm telling myself, don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look. Kaisa, don't look, don't do it. And I don't know why I did this, but I lifted up the covers and I looked, and the mattress was completely indented. And as soon as I see the mattress indented, I watch the other part of it indent, like as if someone were taking their knees and crawling on my bed towards me. And just as I am about to literally get out of bed and freak out, underneath my bed just goes boom. So I jump out of bed at this point, and I have a new roommate, like not from the sober house. She's just a girl from somewhere else. I didn't know. I just got her from one of those roommate sites that you like post rooms on. Really nice girl, had just moved in. I go into her room at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I make her look underneath my bed with me to check to see if there's an actual person or somebody had broken into the house, because that's how real that was. Like I thought somebody was underneath my bed, but I knew that nobody could be underneath my bed because there was drawers underneath my bed. But I made her check anyway. She probably thought I was insane. There's nobody there, right? So I can't sleep again for the rest of that night. Absolutely terrified. Now, stuff like that kept happening to me, but I'm gonna get to the part about the picture because this is getting too long. So after a couple nights of me going through hell, there was a couple nights where nothing happened. There was like 2 or 3 nights where nothing happened. After the 2 or 3 nights that nothing happened, one day I'm going through my phone and the pictures of my phone, and I notice that there's a picture in my phone. It's like this dark picture. And in the picture, I go to zoom in because I realize that the picture is of me. You just can't see me. I can tell that it's me because it's where I sleep in my bed, and the window that I sleep in front of, that's behind me, that like faces the graveyard, is in the picture, but there's a face in the window. But I did not take this picture. Now, this is the picture, and I circled the face, and then if you guys can see the face, and here's another picture of it zoomed in. That, guys, do you guys see what I'm seeing, or am I losing my mind? So this story is getting really long, and there's so much more to the story. If you guys want to hear more about this house, just drop in the comments. I can tell you guys more about this house. But what do you guys think was going on here? Do you think that that was my friend, or do you think that that was something different? I personally think it was something different. I don't think that it was her. I don't think that she would do that, and I just don't believe that it was her. And do you guys think that it was her unaliving, or what happened to her that caused the negative entities in my home, or do you think it was my grief? Like, what are your thoughts on this? I would love to know what you think about this. With that being said, I'm not gonna go on my favorite part, which is the shout outs. Hippie Heart 74 is my first shout out. You left such a nice comment. That made me smile so big. Thank you so much for saying what you said. That meant the whole entire world to me. When I read that comment, I was like, I'm so lucky. I am so lucky to have these people in my community. I appreciate you. I hope you know how much I appreciate you. I appreciate that you comment, that you're in my community, that you like my stories, that you watch my stories. I'm so lucky to have you, and I would not have this channel without you. So thank you so much. I love you, girl. Luxor113, I hope I pronounced that correctly. You said that I was your favorite spooky storyteller. That means so much to me. You have no idea. To even be one person's favorite is like, that is everything to me, and I feel so lucky to have you. You have no idea. So thank you so much for your comment, because it made my whole entire night, and I appreciate you being a part of my community. I appreciate you telling me that. I appreciate you commenting and pushing my videos out, liking my stories. I just love you. Thank you so much. I'm about to show you the cutest pair of overalls I have ever owned or seen in my entire life. You guys do not have to watch this part. That is why I put it at the end. So I am normally not an overall girly, but come on, these are so freaking cute. I'm wearing like boots with them right now. It's like kind of like a thinner material. It's like cloth material, not jean material. They have pockets right here that go super deep, adjustable straps. Right here they have 2 little pockets up top. You can wear a long sleeve shirt with it, a tank top, a short sleeve shirt. I don't know what it is about these overalls that I am so obsessed with, but they have it in army green. They were sold out when I tried to get them. So I'm going to drop the orange shopping cart right there for you ladies. This one's a good one. And with that being said, my name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories on here every single night that you guys submit to me. So if you're into that, hit that follow button, and I just need you to do 3 things for me. And what are those? Keep sending me your scary stories, have a safe night, and what's the 3rd one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much. See you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.
We've talked about this before, that I feel like negative entities feed on people who are struggling, whether it's struggling with their health, struggling with their mental health, struggling with addiction. I feel like negative entities kind of feed off that. There's an easy way that they could get in and kind of like suck the energy from you and feed off of the, I guess, negative energy coming from you just because of your negative situation. And I feel like maybe that this entity was feeding off of her roommates who were really struggling with their addiction, and then her, when she had a more stable roommate with her, and that's why it was like really appearing in her room once she had the roommate that was stable and she found online it wasn't like a recovering addict anymore. I really do think that entities like prey on people that they know that they can really draw energy from, and the more they like inflict that, the more they like steal from you, the more they're kind of inflicting more negativity upon you, and it's like a vicious cycle. And I feel like this is a perfect example of that. Our next 13 TikToks are with user sarasafterdark.
I think someone's in the loft. I don't know if you're going to hear this on camera. It is currently 1:21 a.m. This has been going off for a while. This has woke me up. I really hope you can hear this. I really hope you can hear this. I've had to put a little torch on because it's absolutely pitch black. Please tell me that you can hear this. I've come out, but am I fuck going up there? Absolutely not. There's like a hatch. And nah. What the? Well, this is the update that everybody wants, so let's go up there. Oh, Jesus. Right, firstly, am I okay? I am absolutely fine. I am alive. Okay, these comment sections are wild, but they have kept me entertained. Did I ring the police? No, I didn't, because I put a camera up through the loft hatch, done a full 360, and there is definitely not a human up here anyway. I'm going to give you a little tour. I'll insert some videos as well. It's not a big space. I've checked for mouse droppings. I've checked for any evidence of animals. I can't find any. I can't find any. There's nothing visible. That's not to say that there isn't or it isn't, but right now I can't see anything. Okay, so this is the loft. It is not a big space really. It is all boarded out and there is a brick wall either side. There is no gaps. I have gone through and physically checked the best I can. There doesn't appear to be anything. Last night there was a few noises up here, but nowhere near to the extent of what happened the other night. Okay, so I've been all the way around. Everything is pretty much boarded. It's all bricked up, so like there is a brick wall. I've been through like all the back of the boxes. I've gone all the way around. There is no evidence of animals. Little bit of context for anybody who is new here. So there has been stuff that's been happening in this house now for a few weeks. There is a glass that threw off the top Christmas Day, smashed. There is presents that's been flung over. There has been voices and growls which have been heard through the night. There is footsteps that are heard on the landing, on the stairs. There has been a lot of stuff that has happened. Nothing in the loft. This is the first time something's happened up here. Now, a big part of who I am, what I do and the content that I make, I travel around the country basically going to alleged haunted buildings because I set myself a mission to find out if ghosts are real. So I travel to these places, I make content, I go and check them out, I do investigations. However, I always protect myself, I use sage, I use other protections, and everything's normally absolutely fine until now. Has something followed me home? So I'm wondering if what's happened in the loft is linked to what's been happening around the house, or is this something different? Is this an animal? Is it just a coincidence that it's happened at the same time? I don't know, but I want to find out. I am very open to putting a camera up here, a motion camera. I know that is very horror movie shit. However, I am open for it because if there is something up here, I want to catch it. I want to see it. Does that make me a little bit weird? Yes, I am built slightly differently and I am okay about this type of stuff. However, like I said, I run around the country hunting ghosts, but I don't expect ghosts to hunt me back. You're not even going to believe what I found up here. So for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, I have been hearing noises in the loft, like this. Everybody kept pointing out this, saying, what's this? What's this? I have checked it out. It isn't anything special, unfortunately. It literally just holds that wood in place. However, when I was looking at it, guess what I found? Why does that look like a trapdoor? Oh, that's the stairs. Oh my God. You can actually see down into the house. Why would somebody need to put that in here? So yeah, I always knew that was there, but I just assumed that that was where the loft hatch maybe used to be. I didn't for one second think that there was going to be a window and a door for you to look into the house. Everyone's been telling me to put a camera up here. There is a camera on the way. So as soon as it is here, we'll put it up here and see what we can find. I have heard footsteps the last couple of days. It hasn't been as bad in the extent as that video that I posted. However, there has been footsteps. I had to record this because the noises in the loft happen also during the day. So I've literally just been sat there recording and it started to happen. Yes, I've ordered a camera. One is on the way. However, I've just realised and I've got an idea. I have a camera that can fly. I'm going to send it up. I don't know if you can hear this. I'm going to go. I've managed to open up the hatch. There is literally nothing here. Nothing here. I'm going to leave the hatch open. When it happens again, I'm going to send the drone up. Minute anything up there makes a noise, I'm going to send the drone up. Okay, I'm going to answer this in a video so I can be a little bit more in detail. So things have been happening in this house for the past few weeks. It's not just the loft, it happens all the way around the house. On a night time, I'll be laid in bed and there's a very specific floorboard that creaks on the landing. That'll creak. There has been stuff that's been happening in the bedroom. For example, see how I've got leaves around here? I've got them across the bed. Last night, this happened. I'll insert a video. There was no window open, there was no draft. I felt what sounded like a breath or breathing behind me and I started recording and noticed that the greenery kept moving on its own. It then stopped and was absolutely fine. The bathroom door, for example, is on a sliding track. It makes a very specific noise when you open and shut the door. And I hear that noise. I'll be laid in bed and I can hear it. I come out, check. There's nobody there. It has gotten to a point where I am recording myself throughout the daytime, throughout the nighttime. I'm putting a camera in the office so that if anything happens, I can try and catch it on camera. If I go downstairs to make a cup of tea, I'll prop the camera up and I'll begin recording like this. Last couple of nights I've been creeped out because there has been a lot of stuff that's happening to me when I'm in bed. I seen the bed go down at the bottom as if someone had sat there. I felt someone tug on my pillow as if someone was behind me. And I am into all of this type of stuff. I am happy, I talk about it, I go and do things. but I don't want it in my personal space. I'm quite happy for things to happen throughout the house, but when I'm laid in bed trying to sleep, that's a no-go zone for me. The camera should be here tomorrow, if not at the latest the next day. As soon as it comes, I'll make a video taking it up into the loft. I will plug it in. There is electricity up there. I will plug it in, set it up, and I'll show you guys what we can see. It's motion detection, so hopefully if that gives me an alarm, it gives me a notification, I can go on and see what the hell is happening. I would quite like to catch something really evidential on camera. Once I do that, I think I'm probably going to get someone out of the house, maybe do a little cleanse. I'll do a little saging session myself, and I may even do a little mini paranormal investigation in the loft one night before we say goodbye. In the meanwhile, I'll carry on with the updates. I will carry on recording myself. Anything that I catch on camera, anything that I see, or anything that I can try and catch, I will show you guys, because I know a lot of people are invested in this. Okay, we have a loft update and we have news. We have a camera. So the plan is to set this camera up and try and find the best possible place so we get the best possible view. This camera is night vision. It's also got a motion detection on, so anything moves in front of it, that should alert my phone, and it will also record what's been moving. Also, somebody commented and said she never shows behind her. Well, I will. That's a loft hatch, and that's behind. It's literally a brick wall. Happy? Okay, so I've currently set a light up there, and I'm thinking if we could put the camera on this ledge pointing down, I'm hoping that's going to sort of just capture the whole loft. There is a few extra boxes, and I know people kept saying they could see eyes. One of them, which was over here, let me get out the light. These extra boxes, because these are all like the Christmas decorations. And then there was another one people kept seeing here. There is somebody up here right now. Can you make yourself known? Can you make a noise? Can you make something happen? We know you're here, and I just want to communicate with you. Could you do something? Can you just show me that you are here? I think they're fucking back. Can you move that bag again, please? I think it's this bag. Just make a little noise and let me know that you're here. Can you hear this? Right, I've turned the camera on. I'm going to rest it on that ledge for now. I'm going to quickly just check to see what angle that gives us, and I'll insert a video now so you can see. These lights, by the way, are just off this light. This is nothing weird. Also, I've just realised that the camera also has audio. So if the motion detection gets set off, I will also be able to hear and see. That creeps me out, but I'm here for it. You guys wanted it. Here's the camera. Let's go. Okay, I hit the lights. I've come down. It's gone into night vision mode, and that is what we're going to be able to see. I think it's pretty decent, to be honest. I think if anything moves or there's anything obvious, we should be able to see it on camera. I didn't realise how invested you guys are into all of this. I really apologise for the delay on the update. I've been working. However, there isn't much of an update. So motion was detected twice last night on the camera. Once about 2 AM, once about 4 AM. I don't visually see anything, but I'll still insert the footage in here, although there is noises. So last night I put a live feed of the camera footage on TikTok, and everyone started going crazy. And the thing was, we were like hearing noises on the camera, so I decided to climb up into the loft, and it ended up turning into a mini paranormal investigation. You guys loved it, but I have woke up this morning to a lot of people saying, I missed it. So tonight at 9 PM, get on this page. I'm going to go up in the loft for an hour. I'm going to go live, and we're going to see what we can find. The camera will remain in the loft. I've got no intentions of unplugging it, no intentions of moving it. It makes no difference to me it being up there. So I'm quite happy to keep that feed going, not a problem. When I was up in the loft last night, I verbally said to whoever it may be, and I know it sounds stupid, but I said, look, I don't have an issue if it's something paranormal, so to speak. I don't have an issue you being here, but what I have an issue with is when I'm trying to sleep at night time, that's a boundary. Last night, when I went to bed, was the first night I didn't feel on edge. Did it listen? Maybe. Also, for you guys who missed the little investigation we did last night, would you like me to upload some clips on here so you can have a look to see what happened? I'm happy to do that also. I did a live paranormal investigation from my attic last night, and this is what happened.
If that's you trying to communicate right now, can you make another bang, please? Oh my god, I don't know if you can see this. Thank you. Thank you for that. Do you want me to stay? Is that you walking over towards me? That was loud as fuck. Now it's tapping the fucking ladders and I'm sat next to the ladder. It's not okay. I'm moving over.
What are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm trying to talk to you. You're playing games with me?
Don't forget, I am live again at 9 p.m. tonight on this page. Tune in. It's only going to be for an hour, but let's see what we can find. You are literally not ready for the update I have right now on the loft, i.e. the loft camera. I feel sick. So the motion detection went off 4 times last night. So when you look at the app, they give you it in order of the earliest time. So the last time motion went off will be at the top. So I naturally just clicked the top one to see what happened last night, to find the camera not facing the same direction as it was. From the last investigation, I've left Dumbo up there on top of the box, exactly how we had him, with the light round his neck. That light needs to be manipulated to turn on. Just to give you clarification before you watch the video. I'm meant to be going live tonight with you guys at 9 p.m. up in the loft. Am I going to still do it? Yes, but I'm going to be honest. I am shitting it this time. I am scared, I'll be honest. That footage has terrified me. Okay, let's do a little update from last night. A lot of people have been asking, so here goes. We did another live investigation from the loft last night, and a lot of you guys actually sent in screenshots. Now, what I find quite strange is you've all sent in the same thing. 7 of you emailed this in to me last night, claiming they could see a face on the back wall. So I'm going to blow the photo up right now and tell me what you can see. Also, there was 2 motion detections that went off on the camera last night. I'm going to insert that in a second. But be mindful, when we did the investigation on the night time, I left a few lights up there. As you can see in the first clip, none of the lights were on, but one of the lights was in fact triggered. Quite a few people said they missed the live last night. Is there a way they can watch it back? Yes, I am currently downloading it. I am then going to upload it to the other social media platform known as YT. Can't say that on here. So please jump across to here, give me a follow, and that will be live at some point tonight and you'll be able to watch it. I'm also quite happy in the future, any investigation or anything that we do live, I will also upload it to there in long form content. Okay, let's do a little update. I have been so busy the past couple of days, I've not really managed to do this. However, I am live tonight at 9 p.m. on this page up in the loft. If that's something you want to see, come and join us. There has been a lot of motion detection which has happened on the camera. There's not been anything too crazy, but I did think this was interesting. Hang on. Before I show you this video, I know a lot of people say it's not an orb, it's dust, and that's absolutely fine. However, my actual focus in this video is more on the noise. So I'm going to put this on full noise so you can hear. This was around 3 a.m. There shouldn't have been any noise. Do you see what I mean about the noise? It's as if someone's playing with something really loudly, but visually, I can't see anything. So many people have said, why don't you take some flour or some talc up there, put it on the floor and see if it gets disturbed. Okay, let's do it. So tonight on the live, before we end the live, I'll get some talc and I'll put it across the floor. We'll just do like a little patch because I've got to hoover this shit up, remember? And then tomorrow I will go up there and I'll do an update and see what happens. Hopefully I'll see you guys tonight at 9 o'clock. This scared me. Okay, let's do a loft update. So as you know, we did a live investigation in the loft last night. But as I was setting it up ready to go live, something happened. Just watch this. Yes, my immediate reaction for some reason was to grab the camera and start taking photos. Was anything caught on the photos? Unfortunately not. As promised, we left talc up there last night to see if it would be disturbed. I went up there this morning. I'm going to insert that video now. Has the talc moved? Going on a bear hunt. Going on a bear hunt. Okay, so we have light activation on the mirror. Balloon hasn't moved a muscle, and let's go and check this out. Okay, let's get a torch. I need to do a comparison. I've took a photo last night, but I think that little thing there was already there. But I need to do a comparison, but everything looks okay, to be honest. Always this corner that seems to be so active, and this corner over here. The plan is to leave the talc there for a couple of days. I don't have an issue with being there. I think the longer it's there, the more chance that something's going to disturb it. And also just to end on a thank you to everyone who supports this whole journey, because I know there's a lot of negativity and I know there's a lot of people who try and spoil it and ruin it for people, but I'm not asking you to believe. I said it last night and I'll say it again. I am not asking you to believe. If you don't believe in this type of stuff, that's absolutely fine and you have your own opinion and I respect that, but don't watch it. I forgot to mention as well, the last live that we did the EVP session, and I have gone through the whole thing. There is nothing abnormal caught on the EVP. That's why I've not updated it or put it on here. There's absolutely nothing other than at one point I think my belly rumbles. I'm also uploading the photos that I took last night on the Canon, so if anything was found in them, I will put them on here. I'm also downloading last night's live and I will upload that to YT. And you can find that in the link in my bio. Okay, I have a loft update. So as you know, tonight was the night of the psychic medium. She has given me everything that she possibly could. I have made notes, I have written everything down, and I'm going to share it all with you. She believes there is many spirits in this house, but they are coming and going. However, she picked up on 3 spirits in particular that she believes are solid spirits, residential spirits should we call them. So they are always here, but they are greeted by another. Now, she picked up on a 9-year-old boy. However, she is absolutely insistent to me that this is not a boy. This is somebody pretending to be a child to get my attention. She also got a male spirit who she said is not very nice and to be very, very cautious of him. She said he is a type of spirit that will be active, will do things for you, and you will actually feel like, oh, this is a nice spirit, but actually be very, very cautious because he isn't. She also said he stands in the bedroom at night and literally just stands there watching me sleep, trying to cause disruption and to scare me in the bedroom, which is fitting with some of the experiences that I've had. She then kept getting the name Frank. Now, she is not 100% sure whether that's connected to that spirit, the one to be cautious of, or if that's just a name that was given to her. But as she was talking about the man, she got the name Frank. Now, she's given me quite a lot of things to actually look into, which is going to be me looking into the history of the house and anything I can find. She said she believes really early days in the 1900s, there was 6 people living in this house, a family of 6 people who were quite significant, and she got the name Thomas, which could be a surname. She also picked up on a female spirit. This is a lady who would wear a hair in a bun. She would wear a tabard on top of her clothing, and she is quite a tall lady. She said she spends majority of her time just observing you. She is no harm to you, not to be cautious of her. She's quite quiet and timid. She just likes and enjoys watching this happen. Now, I asked if any of these spirits could be in connection with a previous paranormal investigation I might have done. Have I brought somebody home? She said no, she doesn't believe that's the case. She believes that this is generally an active house anyway, and me potentially have just triggered it off even further. But she actually said she believes since I've had past life regression done, that has opened me up a little bit more to the spirit world. And she thinks that this is why when I'm asking, it's bringing every Tom, Dick and Harry basically in. It's going to be interesting over the next couple of investigations that we do to see if we get anything. And we can use this information that she's given us and we can ask it outright and see if we get any retaliation, any sort of communication, or any confirmation. Remember, we are live tomorrow night. Thursday night is a sub-only live. Sunday night, 9 o'clock, is a normal live. So I will see all of you guys then.
Okay, I obviously included quite a few of these in here, but there are even more on her profile. During all of the videos, her username was up top, and also it's linked down in the description. I totally recommend checking it out and keeping up with this series. She also does a lot of other spooky content. I mean, quite frankly, I recommend checking out any of the people in here who regularly post spooky content if that's what you're interested in. I mean, obviously because you're here. But I was like keeping up to date with this series, and there's a lot more after what I saved that has gone on since. So again, I definitely recommend checking out her profile. But this, I don't know, it's just, it freaks me out so much, the idea of like, for some reason, ghost men in your house. Like, she had no idea that these entities were in her house because they kind of minded their own business, and then at one point something just kind of shook them up and they started acting up, and that's when she started investigating, which for sure definitely made them act up even more, because when you pay attention to things, you're giving them energy and they feed off that. But I don't know, for some reason just the idea of her having like ghost men in her house really freaks me out. It doesn't seem like they're necessarily negative, even though some of them seem a little bit like irritated or not in the best mood all the time, kind of like grumpy. But I think she got a lot of really good evidence in just these clips, and I mean, I've been really fascinated by the evolution of this whole story. Our next two talks with user, moonlitgemsco.
Here's one of my top 5 scariest paranormal experiences. And if you know, I've had a lot. In my early 20s, my best friend's dad lived with his parents, her grandparents. And they lived like 2 blocks away from us, so we would go over there daily. But I never liked being there for too long because there was a darkness present in the house. Literally, it felt like an entity that was negative inhabited the space. There were countless things that happened there over the years, but I specifically remember I was 22 and it was May. I don't know why I've never forgotten that. She and I were the only 2 at their house. I was watching TV, she was taking a shower. We were both downstairs. The TV was loud, and over it I could hear someone walking around upstairs right above me. The second I paused the television, it felt like darkness rushed up on me. My heart was beating so fast, but I was frozen. Something got my attention and I looked left and heard the most guttural growl in my ear.
Our next 2 TikToks are by the user Viva La Melissa 2.
If you are a tour guide with a haunted location or you work for a specific tour group, I want to hear your most disturbing or funniest tour stories. I'll go first. My name is Viva and I work here at the Anchorage Mansion located in Marietta, Ohio. And working here at this particular location means that we have a lot of funny and a lot of really spooky things that happen. I'll give you 2 stories. One story is that of me doing a flashlight tour at this beautiful mansion. And sometimes I like to always, well, not sometimes, but I always warn people that sometimes the house does get bats. I was giving the tour and walking up into the attic. I'd already previously told everyone that there were going to most likely be bats in the attic. And then, of course, we're walking up there. I'm kind of ducked low just to make sure that I don't get hit in the face by a bat. A bat swoops towards me and kind of away, and there were 2 women that were behind me. One of the women screamed. The other one also screamed, but she punched me in the back of the head. Of course, it didn't necessarily hurt. It was more so just a shocker. I kind of doubled over onto my knee and just started hysterically laughing. She ended up pushing everyone in the tour group. There were about 18 people in this specific group. She ended up pushing everybody out the way just to get down the steps out of the attic. So that was pretty funny. Now, in regards to a disturbing story, once again, flashlight tour. It always seems to happen during the flashlight tour for some reason. There were these three teenage girls that were in this particular group, and they all decided to go use the bathroom. And this is usually a story I tell on my tours. If you've taken a tour with me before, then you already know. But there were three teenage girls that had decided to go use the bathroom together. There's only one toilet in there, so they made it work. They come running out of the bathroom and meet me in the hallway. You know, two of the girls go flying by me and one girl stays behind, and she's like really panicked and really scared. So I was worried about her, not so much for the specific reason of being ghosts, but to make sure that there was nobody else in the house that I needed to be concerned about. So she tells me that these three girls in the restroom, the last one had finished using the bathroom, and as they were washing their hands, they look up at the big mirror that is just in front of them, right over top of the sink, and they look up and they see an elderly man, just peeking over this girl's shoulder. He was balding, very pale skin, big buggy eyes, and she specifically said a Cheshire cat sort of smile. So very big smile on his face. So, needless to say, before they could even start their investigation, they were done for the night. So those are my two funny and disturbing stories of being a tour guide here with Hidden Marietta at the Anchorage Mansion. So if you, once again, are working in a haunted location or work for a specific haunted attraction sort of tour company, I'd love to hear your story, so make sure you stitch this video. You want to hear more? Okay, I'll give you some more. There's a story that I always tell whenever I am giving tours here at the Anchorage Mansion, and that is of a very funny story. Scary to some, but funny to me, especially when you know the history of this particular spirit. So, one day, I was working here at the Anchorage. I was just in the shop, and as I am working, you know, the stomach starts a-rumbling. So I decide, okay, I'm going to lock the shop door. There's nobody else here in the house. Now I'm going to go use the bathroom. Go to the bathroom, which is... We're doing the running thing again at platforms. All the way over here. So, I lock the shop door, go to the bathroom, close the bathroom door, lock it, sit down to do my business. As I am holding my phone, swiping through the internet, as one does, doom scrolling, is what the kids are calling it, I see an older man, head and shoulders, pop through the door. Just kind of like, hold on, I'll demonstrate, hold on. Just kind of popping in like that. But it was from the front. So right through the door, head and shoulders. No knees, no toes. And so I see this old man, and he's balding, white hair, white pale skin, you know, the usual get up that this particular spirit has. And I see him out the corner of my eye. I pause the video that I am watching, and I just look out the corner of my eye, and I just say, Walter, it is not the time. And I say that, and he just pops right back through the door. So essentially, it was like, mind you, the toilet is this direction. So it was like this, he was through the door, and that wasn't sticking. Don't fat shame me. Just kidding, I don't care. But yeah, so he popped back through the door. Essentially, it made me constipated, and I could no longer poop. So I just kind of like, in a huff, get up, goddamn Walter, and fussing and carrying on, and I go back into the shop, and I'm cussing all the way through the house, and you have to go through like several rooms one after the other to get back to the shop. But I was cussing all the way through, child. I was not playing with Walter that day. Me and him, we were not friends. So that is another creepy story, spooky, funny story that I have in association with this particular place. This isn't the only place that I investigate and have spooky instances happen. So of course, if you are interested in hearing more of these spooky, funny, disturbing stories in association with ghosts, just let me know in the comments. Boop.
Okay, first of all, her style is like the coolest thing ever. Like, her vibe is totally like cool girl. I don't even know how to explain it. I love her. She's so cool. I can't imagine like sitting on the toilet and all of a sudden there's a ghost man that just peeks his head through and is like, hey, what's going on? That would freak me out. I mean, I can't imagine sitting anywhere and there just being like a ghost person that like peeks their head at you, and I'd lose it. Absolutely. I would be freaking out. I think I'm going crazy probably. And obviously she's in a place that she is aware is haunted and it's not her home, thank God. But it's still, it would just be unnerving, like someone just popping their head in and you know that it's a ghost. You know that they're not alive and they're interrupting you. Just not only interrupting you, but they're interrupting you while you're like literally sitting on the toilet. That's, I'm not gonna lie, that's a really funny, spooky story. Our next talks about the user, aliyakeo.
I'm finally going to tell you guys about the time my mom brought home a spirit from the hospital she worked at. Everything I'm saying is 100% true, and it happened to us in real time. I remember being in middle school because of the house we were at, and I had just got out of school, so it was like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. We were still waiting for my brother and sister to get out of school, so it was just my mom and I alone at the house in the living room. Some time passes by and we hear a voice, and this voice sounds like a child's voice. The voice says, "Mama." I can't replicate it because obviously I'm not a child, but just imagine you're just sitting quietly and you hear a kid's voice saying "Mama." And keep in mind, my little brother and sister did not have any toys that made sounds. Like at most, my brother had like trucks, like toys like that. There weren't ever any baby dolls at my house, or no baby dolls, no Barbies, none of that. My little sister, she collected little pet shop toys. So they were this small, they did not talk, none of them spoke. So the mama surprised us. We were like, what was that? My mom had me check the shoe cabinet. She had me check behind the couch. She even had me check underneath the recliners, because at this moment, we weren't that scared. We were just like, what is that, you know? So we kind of ignore it, and then we just go on about our day. And then like a few minutes later, we hear goo goo gaga in that same child's voice. So now we're kind of scared because it's that same child's voice speaking to us, and it sounded so clear, like it was sitting right next to me. And my mom asked me to check everywhere else again, and I said absolutely not. Simply because what happens if I open the shoe cabinet or check under the recliner and I see some little feet, or I see a kid like just waiting for me to see it. So yeah, I didn't check. We were scared. All we could do was really just react, because I don't know, like that's all we can do. Time passes by. My brother is playing in his room by himself. He hears Leah, 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 like repeatedly, like yelling in his ear. And as a kid, like all you're gonna do is freak out, cry, and get scared, and that's exactly what happened. Like he was alone upstairs playing, and he hears that, and freaking spirit or whatever was screaming my name in his ear. So my mom tells me that he runs downstairs, tells her what happened, and then she just tells him like, don't worry about it, like don't be scared, like I'm here, whatever. More time passes. I hear that my stepdad was having nightmares of a kid in our house. And then I have a dream / nightmare, I guess, but I wasn't really scared. I had a dream that a lady was walking around my house, like the upstairs, walking through every room, and then she goes downstairs and then she's waiting at the bottom of the staircase. Our theory is that that lady that I saw in my dream was waiting for that child to go with her. So after that dream, we didn't have any experiences with that kid again. There was no child's voice, like nobody was talking to us anymore. And nobody was yelling in my little brother's ears anymore. My mom doesn't work at the hospital anymore. And this wasn't the first time, like, we experienced things. Not only, and it's not just because she worked at the hospital, it's just my family, we just be seeing stuff and experiencing things. But yes, this story was 100% true. My mother was there, my brother experienced it, my stepdad experienced it. My little sister was way too young, but it really happened. And it's a very funny story to tell to this day. Not funny, but like, it's something that happened. And this type of stuff really only happens in like movies. And this is the story of the time my mom brought home a spirit from the hospital she worked at.
Our next TikTok is with the user TracyB87.
Story time on why I don't take this road at night anymore. And I'm even nervous a little right now. Okay, so this is the road. And it happened right out here. Now, it wasn't as grown up as it is now because obviously this is a cornfield, okay? And it's like, it was corn, but it wasn't this big when this happened, okay? So I just wanted to give you perspective of where we're in the country, okay? So this is where this took place. All right, so I'm going to try to make this really quick because I need to go to the gym. But, okay. So, my ex and I were coming down that road to go home. And so, where I showed you the cornfield, this is where this happened. Now, I know the cornfield looks huge now because, I mean, it's summertime. But this was around fall, winter, I believe. So, it was not that high up. So, you could walk through the cornfield and be seen, and that's pretty much what was going on. Okay, so I see a man. He is walking through the cornfield pushing a bike, and my ex sees a man as well walking through the cornfield pushing the bike. And at first it's it's the country, like stuff like that happens. It's not a big deal. But you know how, like, so he was going the same direction we were going. All right, so if you're walking, and mind you, we were the only vehicle that was on the road. We were the only car that was on the road. So, if you're walking and you just kind of look to see because you hear something. So that's what he did, the man. When he looked back, he had eye shine. And so I'm like, what the fuck? Like, yo, what the fuck is that? Like, that's not a human. His eyes were glowing. Like, like an animal at night, the nocturnal animals or whatever, they have the eye shine. Well, not, whatever. The eye shine. He had eye shine, okay? Then, this fucking guy driving, my ex, he was like slowing down. Now, I don't think he's seen the eye shine. He couldn't have. Because he was like, oh, we should help him. I'm like, no, go. Keep fucking going. Go. He was like, what's wrong with you? He need help. I said, you better fucking drive. Do not stop. Do not fucking stop. You better go. So I'm like going off on him because he's trying to fucking stop the car. And you can tell this man, it's like he forgot that his eyes I don't know. Or, like he checked and was like, oh, it's a car. Like he did like, oh. Because you can tell as soon as he looked back, I seen the eyes glowing. And he did this number like, you could tell he just kind of turned his head to the side. He had a hat on, and I can describe exactly what this fucking guy looked like, okay? He was a Hispanic man, So, like, think Mexican, beautiful brown, that kind of color, okay? He had on a hat, like, it was red and gray. I'm telling you, I could see this guy, and I remember every fucking thing. I remember everything that he had on, everything, because, like, I soaked in all the details immediately. When his eyes were going, I was like, what the fuck? So, he was probably about 5'7", something like that, pushing the bike in the field. Tell me why. My ex, he's seen a completely different person. Because as I was freaking the fuck out, going off on him because he was trying to stop, and I'm like, no, we don't do that. What the fuck are you talking about? You better go. So he was like, why you don't want to help the dude? You know, he might need some help. I'm like, I understand, because my ex is Hispanic. I said, I understand. You know, you probably thinking, you know, let me help my people. You know what I'm saying? But your people is a fucking demon or a skinwalker. I don't know what the fuck he is. And he was like, my people? He was like, that was a white dude. I said, no, it wasn't. He was like, it was a tall white guy. I said, no, it was not. How the fuck did he see a tall white dude with a hat pushing a bike, and I seen a short, or not short, but average size, beautiful brown skin, Mexican looking man walking through the field? How did we see two different races of people, and he didn't see the eye shine, and I did? What? I can still see this man's face. Like, when I think about it, I'm like getting chills. Oh my God. When I think, I can still see his face. Like, he looked like just your average fucking guy, just Hispanic man. And like I told him, and you know, like, I know somebody, oh, well, you know, there are white Hispanics. I know that, like, my ex is not from El Salvador, but his heritage is Salvadoran. And he's very pale, where people think he could be white, but it's obvious he's not white. But it's like, I know there are like very light-skinned Hispanic people, and there are brown skin and darker skin. There's some that are darker than me. But this was a Hispanic man. Like, and the fact that, like, he turned his head, like, as soon as he looked back at the Jeep, he was like, oh, like, you could tell he had his hat. He was like, like, oh shit, I already seen you, baby. I seen you. Whew. Lord, listen, let me go. That was the time. That's why I don't take that road. I do not take that road at night. I take it during the day because it's light, you know what I mean? And I feel a little bit more comfortable taking it in the daytime than at night. I will not ever take that road at night again. I never, ever, 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 ever take it. Ever. Okay? Yeah, that was scary. But I'm starting to wonder, like, if my veil is thin. You know what I mean? Like, because my dad, he experiences things all the time. Like supernatural, seeing things, seeing people. And I've had several experiences myself where I can see certain things. And, you know, maybe somebody else can't, or they see, you know what I mean? But yeah, this story, this was crazy, y'all. Okay, let me go. I'll talk to you later. Bye!
Okay, first of all, I totally get what she's saying about it being low grass and her not wanting to drive in there because of the instance when it was low grass and she saw someone out there. But now I'm also thinking about when it's like high grass because of the corn. I mean, not grass, but you know, like high greenery because the corn's grown high. I'm just imagining you're driving and then all of a sudden, like, something just appears from the corn and starts chasing your car. I feel like this probably happened in a scary movie before. I don't blame her. If I got such bad vibes from that area, I probably would not drive there either, because who knows what it was. I mean, who knows if they're gonna stop your car? Like, if your car is just gonna break down and you're stuck there and there's something that's just slowly walking towards you from the field. Probably unlikely, but why risk it? Our next TikTok is by the user alliekmakeup.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first.
I have one. So about 10 or 11 years ago, I was working on a small independent film out in the middle of Illinois in some small town that I can't recall the name of. But the filmmaker put us all up at the bed and breakfast in town, which was this really old house that had been, converted to a B&B. And this really sweet woman ran it, very nice welcome, everything, obviously. And so we're there. First night, I remember it was a Tuesday. And we all, go to our rooms and everything. And my room was like a bedroom, then a bathroom, and then another room, like a den. So it was like a suite kind of like setup. And so I'm like putting my bathroom stuff away. And I look in the den and it's super cute. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go in there and work on my stuff that I need to work on for tomorrow. And as soon as I went in to that den, immediately I was like, no. There was something like so off about it. It felt eerie. It felt weird. It was cold. And I know it was an old house, but there was a significant temperature difference from the bathroom to this den. It honestly, like, it felt like someone was watching me. That's honestly the best way that I can describe this feeling. I felt very uncomfortable. And so I closed the door and went and did my stuff on the bed instead. And then I went to bed. And in the middle of the night, I wake up to a scratching sound. I don't know how loud it was. Back then, I was a super heavy sleeper. Like, this was 10 years ago before I had kids. I am not a heavy sleeper anymore, unfortunately. Although I guess fortunately, because I have kids. So I was a very heavy sleeper back then. Case in point, we had one time an intruder in the basement of our apartment, 3-flat, and the cops were called. And I slept through the entire thing. Cops running up and down the hallway, everything. I slept through the whole thing, found out about it the next morning. So that's how heavy of a sleeper I was. So anyway, so I wake up to this scratching noise and my eyes are closed and I'm like, what is that? What could that be? I'm thinking, like, is it a tree? Like on the outside, like on right outside the wall of the house, like scratching, the side of the house. Maybe that's it. And so I opened my eyes and right there on the wall, I saw a shadow. It was not a figure, like it wasn't, like a solid person or anything. It was a shadow on the wall of a person. I saw like a head and shoulders. I did not turn around to check if someone was behind me because I was alone in that room. So I just pulled the covers over my head and went to sleep because I was terrified. And woke up the next day. I didn't tell anybody about this. I didn't want to be that weird girl that's like, my hotel room is haunted, even though it totally was. And I didn't want to make any drama or anything. I didn't want to seem like I wasn't appreciative of being, given this room. So I just, whatever. And then that night, nothing happened. The next night, nothing happened. Nothing actually ever happened again. But come Friday, we're shooting all of our outdoor stuff, and the director wanted to use all natural light, so the lighting guys had the day off. Oh, sorry. I just heard there's like people partying outside right now. It's literally 3 a.m. Anyway, so where was I? So the lighting guys, they had the day off. They stayed and hung out at the B&B. And then Friday night, we have the like production wrap party. We were done filming. And these 2 guys come up to me and they're like, Allie, we have a story for you. And I'm like, what? And they're like, it's about your room. Just like my chills. I was like, oh, what? What are you going to tell me about my room? So this is what the woman told them. She had had a medium come at some point, I don't know, to like check out the house. The only place that the medium got any type of activity was my room, specifically the den. The woman has always had trouble keeping that den warm, even though there's like heaters like installed in that room, which I found out from the guys telling me that. The den used to be the maid's quarters. This is the kicker. The den used to be the maid's quarters. The door from the bathroom to the den didn't used to be there. That was part of the renovation. That was a wall. There was a separate staircase from the back porch that led up to the maid's quarters. And when they renovated, they boarded that up on the back porch. And but what this woman told these guys, now remember, I have not told anybody about what I experienced in this room. And this woman told these guys that when they saw the staircase, there were scratches along the wall, like going up the staircase or down. I don't know. So her theory was like maybe this woman had nice nails and liked to scratch her nails along the wood as she walked up and down the stairs, or like, I don't know if she had a tool, or like maybe she was just a very tactile person and liked to scratch things. Anyway, there were scratches. When I am staying in this B&B, this staircase is boarded up. Oh my God. That's me. I just spooked myself. So anyway, so the staircase is boarded up, and on the boarded up, like wall, there's, a painting of this maid, and she looked like me. Can't really tell with the lighting, but my hair is red. She was fair with freckles, red hair, blue eyes. She looked like me. I heard scratching, and the next morning I went and looked around the house and to see if there was a tree. No tree. So what was the scratching? I think it was her. Yeah. Super creepy. Needless to say, that night I made several people sleep in that room with me. I was not going to sleep in there alone. But my theory is the first night, I think she was just kind of like checking me out to see, I don't know, if I was trouble or not. I don't know. But we were cool after that. But yeah, that story still kind of creeps me out to this day. It's a fun one to tell.
Our final TikTok of the video is by the user HouseCatchchronicles.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
About 15 years ago, I worked in a restaurant that was inside of a house. The house was about 100 years old, maybe a little bit more. It had been built originally for the first mayor of that town, small city. I don't know how long families lived in that house, but by the 80s, it had been converted to a restaurant, a somewhat well-known French restaurant, which was led by a well-known French chef. It sat vacant for a while after the restaurant closed, and was purchased by the owners that I ended up working for in early 2008. And by the end of 2008, we opened the restaurant, and I worked there pretty much from the day it opened. When it had been converted to the first restaurant, about a third of the house had been converted to a restaurant kitchen, but the rest of the house was still very much a house. So you walked in the front door, you entered into a foyer, there was a hostess podium, there were benches and chairs for people to sit and wait for their table or to have a cocktail or an appetizer. You would walk through a giant entryway and then into a very large dining room. I think it had originally been a formal living room. The bar was on the far end of that dining room. It shared a wall with the kitchen. There was a staircase with a landing, and then around the staircase there was a somewhat smaller dining room. The second floor featured the restrooms and two rooms that previously had been bedrooms, but they were converted to private dining rooms. So I was the bartender. I was there most nights. I closed almost every night. And so I was often there by myself for anywhere from, an hour and a half to 2 hours. There was a lot of side work, stocking to do, prep, and a lot of glassware to polish. So I would just be in there by myself, occasionally listening to music, but mostly just being quiet and just zoning out. And there would be nights where I would be in there in the bar, polishing glassware, doing my side work, and I could hear in the other dining room what sounded like standard restaurant noise, like the noise you hear when you walk into a restaurant, voices, people chatting, cutlery hitting plates, ice in glasses, just like regular restaurant noise. And I knew nobody was in there. I knew I was the only person there. And I knew that if there was anyone in there, it wouldn't be enough for, there wouldn't be enough people to make that type of noise, right? And so I would go check, and of course, as I got down the hall, around the staircase, and into the room, the noise would stop. And it wasn't scary, but it was just weird. And I would bring it up to the owner, and she would say, oh, you're probably just hearing this, or you're probably just hearing this. Or at one point, she thought I needed to get my hearing checked, And then there were other nights where I would hear what sounded like kitchen noises. And if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you know what I'm talking about. Just the standard, pots hitting the stove, the clicking sound that a gas stove makes when you're turning it on, water running, dishes clanging, utensils, people talking, the cooks. I could hear low male voices talking. And again, I knew nobody was in there. And I would be behind the bar most of the time doing that closing side work. And so the bar shared the wall with the kitchen. So it was even clearer. The kitchen door was right there. And I would still go in there and look, of course. And I'm I know what I'm hearing, but there's nobody there. And again, it wasn't scary. It was just this is weird. So the stairs to go to the second floor in the private dining rooms, you would go about 5 or 6 stairs. There was a small landing, and then the stairs would turn 5 or 6 more, and you'd be at the top. And as you got closer to the landing, up those first stairs, the temperature would start to change. It would start to get chilly, and by the time you got up to the second floor, it was outright cold. And it wasn't just the temperature change. There was a heaviness in the air. The closer you got to the top, to the second floor, the heavier it became. It was a real uneasy feeling. And it wasn't just me that felt this, it was everyone. Other staff, other guests, right? At first, when we first opened in that first month or two, the owners just kept trying to figure out if the heating was broken. I mean, again, it was a large old house. So they were it's just the heat, it's this and this and this. And eventually there was just no other answers. It was that something was going on. Nobody wanted to go to the bathroom. because it was up there. And if I hadn't gone to the bathroom before everybody left, I would be holding it because there was no way I was going to the bathroom in that building by myself. One day I was working a double and I had about 3 or 4 hours between my shifts. And I was taking college classes at the time, so I thought I would just go up to one of those private dining rooms and study. This was the middle of the day, broad daylight, like 2, 3 in the afternoon. I take all my stuff up there, I go sit down, and I only made it in one of those rooms for like 30, 45 minutes. It was so uncomfortable. It was just oppressive. The air was oppressive up there. It was just, I was very uneasy. People would, like large parties would make reservations. They would dine up there once or twice, and then they would ask to be seated in the dining room. And we didn't have room for large parties in the dining room downstairs. And they were like, we don't care. You can break our party up. We just don't really like it up there. Like nobody wanted to be up there. So one night I was there by myself. And we had recently gotten a television for the bar. So I was standing with my back to the bar and I was looking up at watching the television with the sound kind of low while I was polishing glassware. And I was looking at the television and I just like, at the same time, this like dark blur just like zipped by my right eye. And I felt like this jolt of electricity just go all down the side of my face and my neck. The hair on my arm just stood up on my right arm. So I turned and looked and I was facing that large entryway that I mentioned that was connected to the foyer, and I didn't see anything. But I just knew like something else is here. Wasn't scared, but just kind of, I don't know. I went around the bar. I went out into the foyer because I was just looking for anything. And at this point, I know like it's not another human being, but something is in this building with me. And I was rounding the stairs, and as I got closer into that other dining room, I started to feel the electricity even more. So you would walk through the door. The door to that other dining room was on the right-hand side, and you would around the corner into the dining room, and there was like a little weird alcove. Nobody really knew what it was, and you could fit like a table and 2 chairs there, like a bistro table and chairs there. And as I walked further into that dining room and got closer to that alcove, all the hair on my body stood up. Not necessarily my scalp, but like my arms, the back of my neck. Like I felt like someone had just zapped me with electricity, and it just kept getting stronger. And I started to get uneasy. That's when I started to get uneasy. And again, I wasn't fearful, but all I could say with certainty was that I knew that something was in that house with me, or some things, group of people, I don't know. And they were in that alcove. They were sitting at that bistro table. I shut everything down. I left. I did not finish my side work. I came in the next day. My boss was like, why was all this stuff out? And I told her what happened. And she was just like, yeah, there's been some stories about this house. And I'm like, oh, so now you tell us like all this stuff about me hearing things and saying, and you're trying to make it seem like I'm crazy. Anyway, long story short, that experience changed my entire perspective on what I think quote unquote ghosts are. I don't necessarily believe in ghosts as ghosts. After that day, I no longer believed in like transparent figures floating around a house. You know what I mean? It's energy. It is just straight up energy. And that is absolutely what I felt that day.
I don't know why, but I'm so intrigued by this. Like, I would love to eat there. I'd love to have a party in the upstairs room. I'm always like interested by the weirdest, spookiest, abnormal things. I definitely wouldn't like working there and like having a break and being upstairs in the room by yourself where you're like trying to get some other work done. I wouldn't like that, especially like back to the bathroom. I wouldn't like to be in a haunted bathroom. If she's saying that she didn't even feel comfortable, like if she didn't even feel comfortable to use the bathroom while she was on work, I mean, God knows if you're like there for 12 hours, that's crazy that you really don't want to use the bathroom that much. But I'm intrigued. I wouldn't like being there alone, but I kind of like being there like as a restaurant guest or using one of the upstairs rooms for like like a banquet room for like a little party or gathering or something. I don't know. I'd be really intrigued by that. I think that that would be kind of sick, but I understand if that's not what you're looking for, if you're not going there for that and you're trying to have like an actual like party, non-spooky weirdness, then I get the disappeal of that. But I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. But that is all I have for today's video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on any of the TikToks I showed you today. Feel free to tag me in any TikToks you come across that you would like to see me include in a future video. My username is @the_Abby_Strohmeyer. All of the creators that I featured in this video will be down below in the description, so you can check them out. While you're at it, please check out my Instagram and TikTok that are also linked down below. I post spooky special effects makeup on those platforms. I'm hoping to really dive back into it once I figure out these health issues, so I know, fingers crossed. But please check me out on those platforms as well. If you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I'll pop a couple of videos suggested on the screen for you to watch next. Please click the subscribe button down below and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I post Sundays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at 4 p.m. Central Time. I feel like I always really buzz through that. I've got it down at this point. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.